This is the Global Podcast Network, where executives and professionals connect, share, and inspire. Stay tuned for the conversations that drive success.
Well, welcome back. Every time we get together with her, there's always so much insight. Learn a lot and all different topics when it's related to your health. And that's what she does. She is the woman behind Path to Wellness in Tulsa, Oklahoma. She harnesses the power of a medical background in addition to Chinese medicine and herbals, acupuncture, massage. The list goes on. Today, we're going to talk about your brain function in general, some of the challenges that we have, some of the solutions that come along with that as well. Teresa Wilkinson is back with us. How are you doing today?
I'm doing fantastic today. It's a good day.
Good to have you back here with us. And
How about?
I'm wondering where we're starting here with brain function. What do you think?
Well, I wanted to kind of go over some of the topics we've talked about before and kind of start putting them together. But what I've experienced in working with fertility clients, for instance, I've been doing fertility for 36 years, and I've always been a big proponent of progesterone cream helping to support getting the hormones back on track and also timing for ovulation. I've helped a lot of people naturally get pregnant, but fertility clinics have really soared in popularity for the last 20 years, and I think a lot of it has had to do with people waiting till later in life to get married, later in life to have children.
Mm-hmm.
And so the sperm has been, they call it the motility, where say it's double-headed or double-tailed. And so the sperm, they have to wash and get the best sperm. So there's a lot of issues with fertility, but then we've talked about dementia and Alzheimer's. And so in listening to different podcasts, I've heard some of them refer to our 5G network, being in front of our cell phones all day, being in front of our computers all day, how this is taking away our myelin sheath, the coating around our nerves and our brain, and causing our brain to be dysfunctioning and our memory to be lost and things like that. And I've had to fact check some of this stuff. And then there's some people that are talking about the pituitary. It's the master gland, is the size of a pea. And our brain is, just think of a head of a cauliflower. So our brain is really like the cauliflower, but it's 73% water. The water actually helps transfer nerve transmission. There's 10 to 20%, 12% fat. So we talked about the brain really being a bowl of fat before, and that's why the cholesterol medicine affects the fat, which is what covers the nerve sheath. And then when that shorts out, that's what causes different thought processes to go wrong. So then we have 8% protein, and then only 1% carbohydrates and only 1% of minerals and salts. But our neurons, our nerves that make everything happen, is 86 billion. So think of looking into the galaxy, and that's how many stars you'd see if you were in a telescope, because our city lights affect our sight of our sky. So you're not going to see all the lights you would unless you're looking through a telescope. But our brain controls our entire body. So it's really important. And so if you want to think of it like in an orchestra, the brain is kind of like the orchestra master, and then the first violin is well, you could take it back. The whole orchestra is the brain. The conductor is probably the hormone called pregnenolone, made from the pituitary, and then the first violin is going to be progesterone, and then all the orchestra is going to be our hormones, and then the brass section is going to be probably kicking in that estrogen testosterone.
Oh
But
my God.
anyway, maybe the drums. But anyway,
It's like a
uh,
cerebral symphony. That's what it is.
it is, it is, it is. So then there's been podcasts saying that the pituitary gets corroded by fluoride in our water supply. So some critics do contest about the anti cholesterol medicine. Some critics contest that our water supply is great, but we do have a lot of dumping of factory dumping into our rivers that go to our water supply. And one of my patients was on a federal committee about fluoride this last several years, and their findings were pretty striking on how fluoride can affect. So when I go to the dentist and they ask me for a fluoride treatment, I do not get one. But our toothpaste is made from fluoride. Now the
Well,
other thing that's go ahead.
I'm not a dentist, but this is my personal opinion. When I was a kid,
Don't spit it out.
it was a big thing. It was like fluoride's great for you. Fluoride's great. Now, as I do the research, and my jury is still out on that. But when they ask you for, hey, you want fluoride at the dentist when you're doing your, 6-month checkup, it's a money grab. They just want to charge you more. It's not like they're doing you a favor.
Insurance doesn't pay, right?
Thank you.
Just don't swallow
Yeah.
it.
Well,
But I don't know if you remember, old fashioned was baking soda and salt. Baking soda
yes.
and salt. And then we talked about peroxide before
Yep.
too. But that's again, I always add some peppermint. But rinsing with salt water and a little peroxide, for sore throat or even the plaque on your teeth is helpful. Any bacteria is going to kill.
You know
So
what? I still love brushing with baking soda and water, not even salt. Just sometimes I know it's like
really,
got a bitter flavor and you just get past that. But there's a
oh,
feeling of
that's nice.
the feeling of clean. I don't know. I'm just saying.
Yeah, yeah, that's a
Hmm.
good idea. Yeah, I think a lot of people that aren't are younger may have not ever experienced the baking soda salt
Yeah.
concept or
Yeah.
even the peroxide. So that's good. We're getting it out there.
Hmm.
But so I've had so different in my different research. Um, Listening to other podcasts, I got turned on to something that I have been telling patients about for skin, like eczema and rashes, which is very common, where some people have. We've talked about this when we talked about the lymphatic system, having that um, our our hem our oh having a reaction with our lymphatic system not working fast enough, and we have an overload to our system, and it causes skin breakouts or a gut problem, or it can affect different organ systems that people experience. But on the skin rash, it's been this ultimate mushroom complex, and it's about 8 different mushrooms, like lion's mane is one of them. And so, in looking those up and their benefits, it also helps. Those mushrooms help with cancer, gut health, also our brain, helping our brain work better, and helping again with the Alzheimer's and dementia. So they said that since I think the late 80s, something like it was a high percent, something like 8 out of 10 seniors are having trouble with dementia and
Wow.
Alzheimer's. And and if you go back 100 years, we didn't have that. It was like maybe 1 in 1,000. So you're thinking, okay, what's changed? What's going on in our environment or our medical care? What's going on here? And so one of the articles mentioned that blue bilberry is the ticket because,
What did you
uh,
say? What kind of
and then when
berry?
I fact checked, BIL berry, and
Hmm.
that goes back to the 5G problem. But they said if we're in front of a screen all the time, it will affect through our eyes. Our eyes are kind of like the the entrance to our entire brain, and whatever our eyes are picking up affects our entire brain. because that optic nerve goes all the way and affects every neuron in our brain. And people that are in front of screens all the time, they're saying will be affected with their eyesight and their brain. But I still think the jury's out um, on that. But
Mm.
they said bilberry is grown at the Arctic, and so it's under light, daytime light, and nighttime light. So that's where
Ah.
it has ability to have a protective coating to keep it alive. Most fruits would die under that kind of light. But they did also say blueberries, which are more common to us in the grocery store. Blueberries are also very good. So we have the big thing is our brain has a brain barrier. So any nutritionals we take in will have to go through our whole digestive system to go to our brain. The only way to enter the brain is to pass the brain barrier. So that takes an OPC, which I'm not going to try to say what it is. It's an acronym, but basically it means that we have to have some kind of fat soluble to get any nutrition across to our brain. So omega 3. So we've been hearing about you got to have eat your salmon, you know, have your fish. Then it also mentioned even wine. But the biggest thing is grape seed extract and pine bark are real big. But if just looking at our diet naturally, we can definitely eat fish and blueberries or have a little red wine. But anyway, that actually has the fat, the type of fat in it that will send any nutrition to our brain. So our brain has to have fat because it is composed of fat, and that's the only way to get through the brain barrier. So I thought that was an interesting fact.
Well, let's talk about the omega threes. I take fish oil. I take a quality one because I've heard don't go with the cheap stuff, and I've been taking the same type for years. Um, I have to say I notice a benefit, like more clarity in thinking. Skin looks better too. Um, but what can you tell us about omega three and fish oil? Is I don't do seafood. I don't like seafood. Not my thing. Is taking a
Okay.
fish oil supplement, is that okay?
Oh yeah, absolutely, absolutely, and I think that's great because some people are allergic to fish. So
Mm.
I think that, and then they also have omega 6 also, but um, we definitely need it. Believe it or not, the brain is the fattiest organ in the body, and it's very important for the coating of those neurons. Or else, once that coating corrodes, then we have shorts, and that's where people walk in the kitchen and go, okay, why did I walk in here? What was I in here for? Or you can be in mid-sentence. Even they had Cher um, interviewed, and she said that she was on stage once, and she was like, it was the Grammys or something like that, and she was performing a song that she knew forever, front and back, in her sleep, and she just went blank right in the middle of it. And she said it just screwed her career right then and there. And she said getting on the bilberry omega 3 thing or the blueberries,
Well, I don't know. I don't know if
going
you
that route helped.
if you remember um, Grammys recently. This is in the last 2 3 weeks. She was on
Okay.
stage, announced a big award for a contemporary performer. We'll just leave it at that. Luther was part of the title, but she said, and the winner is Luther Vandross, who made music decades ago and has since, I believe, passed away. She screwed up. So I don't know. Maybe she needs more
Well,
fish oil.
I guess yeah, she may need the fish oil. I think she was in the podcast about the bilberry, so she needs to add that fish oil. Yeah, the bilberry will not get over to the brain unless you're doing.
Okay.
But the formula that these guys came up with was a grape seed extract to add to the bilberry to help that the fat transfer through that brain barrier. So
Wow.
maybe she needs a little bit more of it, but at least she admitted she was having issues.
Sure. I mean, we
But
all do.
yeah, bless her heart. Well,
Mm.
Go for it. I bet. How old do you think she is? She's got to be in her 80s.
I'm going to say without a doubt she's in her, and she's dating somebody who I think is in their 30s. I'm not even kidding. And apparently it's going great. Great.
Well, she's very good looking. And so
Yeah.
I don't know if she's got a trust set up, but he might want her money. I don't know. But maybe just the fame, just the fame. I don't know.
I mean, let's face it. She's had work done. She's well preserved, but you know what? She looks good. I did it double check. She will be 80 in May.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. She's a Taurus then.
Yeah.
She's a Gemini. Well,
she would be. I
course,
believe she would be a Gemini because it's the 20th.
okay,
So.
that's custody. So she might have a little of both. But she does have that multi-talent to make a Gemini. But Taurus is ruled by Venus, which is, love and beauty. So, so
Interesting.
what's your birthday?
I am I'm a Virgo.
Okay. Well, I was wondering if you were Pisces when you said you didn't like fish, because a lot of times Pisces don't like fish.
It's the sign of the fish. Yeah, just never. I was a picky eater as a kid. Never didn't start there. Not start now. I will. In the past 5 years, I've graduated to fried calamar. Not the best thing for you, but yeah, whatever. We have our what sign are you?
I'm January 20th, so I say I'm Martin Luther King Day, but I'm at the cusp between Capricorn and Aquarius. I'm actually on my chart 0 degrees Aquarius, so I'm entering the Aquarian age, and I think I've done a lot of events that have been world peace days. I've done a lot of events that would be very Aquarius in nature. So, but I do have a Capricorn Venus, so that takes me a little bit to Capricorn. But wherever your Mercury is what makes you true to that sign. Mercury is the closest sign to the sun.
Well, I know we're pivoting here to astrology for a moment, but are you aware at this moment, as of today, the Chinese astrological chart begins, and it is the year of the fire horse beginning today. There was a solar eclipse this morning, 7:15, the peak of it, Eastern, and there's a unprecedented, as I understand it, planetary alignment going on that you're never going to see in your lifetime again. And we began Mercury retrograde yesterday. It's a crazy time.
I was hoping you weren't going to say that, Mercury retrograde. But they say during Mercury retrograde, do not sign any major documents, any major contracts, because it'll have to be redo. Or really review it.
Really well. And same thing with your communication. You should do this anyway, but before you send a text or an email, is it exactly what you wanted it to say? Back up all your devices, drives, and things like that, because technology goes wonky. Travel is another one. And even, not that I read into this deeply, but you know what? It's information. I've witnessed things happen over the years, and I've worked with some of the biggest psychics that are very in tune with this on the planet, and I've seen it in action. I won't have surgery during a retrograde. If it's elective and I can change the date, I'll change the date, just because. Why not? Why take a chance? If I can move the date, 3 weeks from now, I'll just move it just to be on the safe side.
Well, you've got a point. That is a very good point. I've got a hysterectomy for in a week. I may want to reschedule that.
That's up to you. The other side of that is check and double check are your best friends. Triple check, make sure everything is in place. There's no mistakes, insurance, all that kind of stuff. All I'm going to say, Teresa, is I went back in my life and I tracked all the major events. And there's one in particular when I was much younger in broadcast that was, not to go into detail, involved the saving of lives, and it was a big event. It was during a retrograde. Just saying. And like, why? Coincidence? Maybe. I don't know. Um,
Did you have some issues with it? Were there
uh,
issues with the event, or
uh,
was it?
well, I'm going to laser this down. Somebody, a substitute teacher, took staff and students hostage in a high school, and he picked me to read his messages on the air. And
Oh my God!
he would release them as I read them. He did shoot two. They didn't they were injured but didn't die. I mean, a big event, and this is I was a month into full time broadcasting at that time. I was the greenest thing ever, and it was during a retrograde. He eventually took his life at the end of the ordeal, but it was a big event. So, and it was it was during a retrograde. So, and the
No
other,
wonder. No
I'm
wonder
just
you remembered that. That's huge.
Yeah, well, you know
I
what? It
mean,
was only in the last year or two I look back and I was like, I wonder if that was during a retro. Yes, it was. Coincidence?
oh
All right. Yeah. Oh no, I didn't know at that time. But you know,
yes.
things can get wonky during the retrograde. So just check and double check your best friends. That's all. You know, that's
Well, I think I go for my pre-op, and I may change my appointment time. I'll look on the ephemeris and see when it goes forward. But the instrumentation, everything, the assisting, it may not even be the surgeon himself, but it could be the anesthesiologist. Who knows? It can be a lot of factors in a surgery or
mm.
even the surgical room. I mean, there's so many different factors, but you want everything to go well.
No one would know
Somebody,
better than you in terms of what
I
you
know,
do.
I
Um,
know.
and
Oh
it's
gosh.
you know, is it necessary to change it? Well, you know, that's I don't know. Um,
Well, I
if
had a severe car wreck. I had an off-duty sheriff go flying off the highway, go diagonally through a field, and I was in a 2010 Mercury Grand Marquis, which is like a Lincoln. If I had not been in a steel car, I would be dead. He comes flying 130 miles an hour through my passenger side. He hits it, his cattle guard and headlights are in my lap. If nothing else, I would have lost my legs.
oh my
It
God,
hits spins me around backwards, going 80 miles an hour backwards, about a fourth of a football field, and it split me open from hip to hip. The seatbelt.
oh my God,
He
what?
get he gets five guys to come, his sheriffs to come out of jurisdiction and pick him up in the black box and leave, and then all the emergency people tell the highway patrol that I turned left in front of him when I was already down my country road, and you could see the tire tracks. We had an eyewitness. We had all kinds of things. But I made the mistake, and this is something that should be passed on. I was raised, Christian, where you tell the truth, obey the Ten Commandments.
Mhm.
Anyway, I had just had neck surgery 2 weeks before.
Oh,
5 hours before, I had taken one third of a low dose pain pill. So when the officer asked me if I had taken any alcohol or drugs, I said, "Well, I just had this neck surgery, and 5 hours ago with dinner, I took a one third of a low dose pain pill." I'm thinking I'm innocent. I'm telling the truth. He takes me to jail. They they put me on probation.
unbelievable,
I'm the criminal.
unbelievable.
So anyway, I've had three abdominal surgeries, so I've got scar tissue. So it's not going to be an easy surgery. So I need to take every precaution. I
You know
may
what?
go.
I think you're answering your own question, my love. What year was that accident?
Well, it's 3 years ago, so that would be 2024.
I didn't know that you were involved in something like that. What do you remember the date? Do you remember the date?
Um, God, I don't. I think it
What
was
month
in
was it?
June. I think it was in June.
All right,
And
just
my dog was with me, and he ended up with post traumatic stress from it. So he stays home with his daddy, who works from home. And if he gets in a car, he starts shaking. He has to be in my lap,
oh my gosh,
and I have
wow.
to hold him really tight because he's so scared. So it affected him real bad. But anyway,
you know what? I had no idea you went through that and the after effects of that, and oh my gosh! And to your point of the surgery you just described, the scarring and everything else there, it seems like it's a little more complicated. If you
well,
will.
that's the whole thing. Is I think that accident caused a prolapse in my organs. So the issue is a prolapse. Everything fell, and I think it was from that accident. Plus, in nursing, I did orthopedic neuro, and I was lifting patients and transferring patients. So between nursing and that accident, I think
Yeah.
that's what happened.
Wow.
So anyway, so I don't have anything, no cancer, nothing wrong. It's just all the organs have fallen.
Mm.
So anyway, it's
Uh,
caused severe cramping and bleeding. So
we're
deal
out of
with it.
time. I know
That's
we went in
good.
different directions here today, but I like this is called life. I appreciate your transparency, and this is coming from a nurse with deep medical background to understand all this stuff. Whoa, like, amazing.
Yeah, and I did try to fight it, but no attorney would take it. It's a crap county, and they knew that they wouldn't win. They didn't want to even waste my money
Horrible.
because it's so crap. The guy that ran into me uh, resigned within a week because he didn't want to get written up.
What
And
does
guess
that?
who
What does that say?
I actually got off on it a year ago, and it didn't get court recorded because the court reporter is his wife. And so when I was getting off of it, it didn't go through. And so when they called me to come back to court, I said, "Wait a minute, this deal is done." And they said, "No, it didn't. You're lying. It never happened." I don't know if that was a DA mother-in-law deal. I don't know what that was, but anyway.
You know what that is? That's an episode of Tulsa with Sly
Well,
Stallone next season.
this yeah, this is yeah, there you go. Well, it's actually Claremore outside of Tulsa. Will Rogers. I don't know if you've ever heard of Will Rogers.
Sure.
He was big in New York and performed, and also
Yeah.
he was in the newspaper a lot. He was very good
Yeah.
at quotes.
Yeah, the
Yeah,
Will Rogers Theater.
He was from Will Rogers, where I'm from. That's where it's corrupt. If he knew what was going on, he would roll in his grave.
Oh my gosh. My head is still spinning here faster than Mercury retrograde is. Teresa, thanks for all the
Okay.
insight and
Okay.
sharing that. Like that's, something to think about in a lot of ways.
Yeah, exactly.
Wow.
Okay. Well,
I wish you well in terms of your decision with that surgery. I would take a little time to meditate on that one there. Just
I think you're right.
everything you said. I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah.
If it's not pending and you got a little bit of time, maybe maybe take some time. I don't know. That's my intuition is telling me that now, and I'm far from any expert in any area. But
Well,
I
I
don't know.
think it wouldn't have come up unless it needed to be said and be
You know
brought to
what?
my attention.
I think you just answered it there because we weren't talking about this. How did we even get there?
We went from the brain to the uterus.
Right. Unbelievable. I love you.
I love
Unbelievable.
you too.
All right. We'll catch up soon. Okay.
All right.
Thanks.
Sounds great.
Bye.
See you next week.
This
Bye-bye.
is the Global Podcast Network,
Okay.
where executives and professionals connect, share, and inspire. Stay tuned for the conversations that drive success.